Team, I am back. I am so excited that every single one of our staff members is going to be tuning in to this staff video update because at this point, you've had 2 weeks to get back to Josh, every single one of you, with his little end of the staff video update announcement. Hopefully you have. But it's good to be back. We had a great vacation. South Haven is on the water, and it is a fun little town. It's been 2 years since we've been there. And thank you to all of you who step in, fill in, work around, process through all of the things that you now have to carry when I am away. And I know for some of you, it's like it was just a normal work week. But I know there are a handful of you, probably a little more than that, that had to carry a little extra or felt a little pressure waiting or relying on or working through things that you rely on me for. So thank you. It's a great time. I'm celebrating 390 kids at Kids Camp this last Monday. I was at South Toledo, and it was fun to see all of the kids' faces. And not only the kids' faces, it's the dream team there that's serving. Obviously, Sam is running activities at South Toledo and loves it, my son. And so to watch him and to process with him afterwards, like I haven't asked him to do any of this stuff, and he just loves engaging with that. Lydia's leading a small group with her cousin Ruth, after being on vacation together for 2 weeks with my mother-in-law in the same room. That was pretty meaningful. And Mary was actually one of the names that I pulled out of my envelope that I'm praying for. And so if you're not praying for kids, if you don't have those names, talk to Lauren. She may have a few extra envelopes. If you do, pull those names out. If you're meeting together, watching this video, maybe take a minute or two after the video to be praying specifically for those names at Kids Camp this week. It's going to be exciting to see what God does. This week we continue Bad Boys of the Bible. There's been some fun energy around that. And this weekend, you are going to hear from Josh Whitlow, who is back from Purpose Church, just got in town this week. He is so excited to come back and continue that series. So what's fun is we've grown a bit. There are people who've never met Josh before who will be experiencing him for the very first time. And of course, there are many people who love him, who miss him, some of whom continue to support him. And so that's going to be great. Something that I want to call your attention to that I think is going to be important, whether you serve in students or not, is over the last 6 months, our team, our student team, has been going through a pretty rigorous evaluation process to ideate and discern what we need to do in order to serve next gen, specifically middle school and high school students better. And here's what the truth is. There's probably like 3 or 4 different approaches. And over the last 15 years, I was a student director for 5 or 6 years here at Cedar Creek, leading high school and middle school. The strategies shift. Sometimes in some seasons, certain things work and you learn things and you go back, and we've tried a whole lot. I don't think student ministries is in a terrible spot, but I do think there are opportunities. I think the team believes there are opportunities to better serve families, students, and increase impact ahead. And so they have launched a restructure plan that they have outlined that is in the executive summary and the documents there for you to look through. They will be launching this in August, and essentially the middle school students, 5th through 8th grade, will be meeting during the weekend service again. And so that will help serve those students that are attending at the weekend. So that'll happen during the weekend service. And then Wednesdays will be primarily for 9th through 12th graders. And serving those students there. And so they're going to separate those students out. One of the main reasons is that high school students experiencing a service right alongside of middle school students and then trying to lead them sometimes in groups or whatever, it gets a little bit complicated. And so these are the ways that we think we can best serve these 2 age groups and find ways to help introduce them to Jesus and create next steps on their life-changing adventure with him. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Spencer or your campus pastor. Reach out to your direct supervisor, whoever that is. Spencer doesn't need to be inundated with emails from every staff member with questions, but if there's something bigger, they'll direct it in that way. So I'm excited, be prayerful about how that will roll out and how God will use that to impact students in the next gen. The last thing that I want to leave you with is when I go on vacation, I typically try to attend a local church. And I don't tell them who I am. I don't tell anybody what I do. In fact, I become like a lot of our Cedar Creek attendees. I show up when the service starts, I find a seat, and then I leave. and I don't really shake any hands. I mean, I do. I say hi. I'm friendly. It's not like I, ignore people. But I think it is important. Well, first of all, the first week it was me teaching, and so it's kind of hard to listen to yourself teach and hear from God all at the same time. I don't think it's impossible, but I'm just too distracted with watching myself. It's weird. And I think it's important for me to sit under the teaching of other people as well, especially when I'm not working, right? So I'm not here. And so as I show up to this small church of probably about 200-300 people in South Haven, Michigan, and you see all of their systems, and it's like I have to turn off the evaluator hat, and I have to take a posture of I'm ready to learn. And God, I believe that you can speak through this pastor who I can probably preach the message that he's about to give. Okay, it's like I got to have a posture of humility, and it just reminded me that posture is really important. Your posture will influence the posture of your team, of the team that you lead, the people that you're influencing. And I know when you work at Cedar Creek, sometimes it's hard to walk into this environment and be like, okay, I'm ready to learn at the weekend service. It's like we try to find our learning other places sometimes. And I just want to encourage you to just pay attention to the posture at which you sit on our team and in our church and under whoever is speaking. Like, are we open-handed, believing that God is speaking through them, or are we just looking at them as the individual that's speaking? If we just look at them as the individual, then we may miss some of the bigger truths that God has for us. And one of the things that I feel like God reminded me of is the series that they're in is called Enemies. And is there an enemy? What enemy are we fighting? Political enemies, family enemies. And Pastor Dan was reminding us that our battle is not against flesh and blood. And he camped out or ended on 1 Peter 5, which was just a helpful reminder. He says the devil is like a roaring lion, prowling around, seeing who he can devour, something to that effect. And as he was talking about it, what's interesting about lions is they don't typically attack a herd because they'll never be successful. It's too big, too much. But they will go after, or they will find a way to peel off a stray. To people who've isolated themselves, to people who are running away from the herd. That's where the lions are very deadly. And so when you think about the devil, roaring around, prowling around, looking for someone to devour, if you're connected to the best place to be is connected and rooted into Christian community. And so that was just a helpful reminder for me that I wanted to pass on to you. Are you straying away from the herd? Are you becoming more isolated? Are you engaging in meaningful, life-giving, open relationships with the people around you? Like, are you running away from or leaning into some of the godly counsel or maybe mentoring that you've been given? One of the first signs that the devil starts to get a foothold is when we start to run away and isolate ourselves further away from what everybody else has said or is doing, or that's a potential. I'm not saying that's all bad, but it's like, that could be an indicator light that it's like, okay, am I really headed in the right direction? Am I being peeled away from my very source of strength? And so I just wanted to pass that on to you. It was an aha for me. It was one of the things that I felt like God was reminding me of, to just continue to lean into the life-giving relationships and the godly counsel that I keep getting on a regular basis. And so just wanted to share that with you. All right, that's all I got for you. Love you guys. It is so good to be back. Thanks for all the ways you lean into our mission here, and I can't wait to see you at staff meeting soon. See you later.